So by the time I was ready to get out of the military, I'd already had a decent amount of experience. I like to travel, so I was like, well, Hawaii sounds like a cool place to go. I've never been there. I started cold calling developers, Google real estate developer in Hawaii, and called down the list. And, one of the luckiest things that ever happened to me, but Christine Camp with Avalon Development in Honolulu decided to hire me.
Welcome to the Seven Eagle Group podcast, your home for inspiring stories, valuable tips, and great advice from hard-charging veterans so you can lead a more rewarding and lucrative post-military career.
Hey everybody, it is Jordy from Seven Eagle Group. I am so excited today for a guest who has just really impressed me with his career. I've been following it and following him on social. Spent 5 years in US Army Airborne as a senior communications officer. 3rd Special Forces Group, graduate from Bucknell University with a chemical engineering degree. And now he is the founder and CEO of Clear Summit Investments out of Hawaii, Zander Kempf. Thank you, Zander, for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I love to tell stories of people like you, and because I feel that so many others can benefit from the path, the journey that you've been on. You're extremely successful in the real estate industry, and we're going to get all into that. But let's start at the beginning, man. I know you grew up in New Hampshire. What set you down this path of joining the Army?
So I had a lot of family in. My dad, both grandpas, a couple cousins. It was something I grew up with, feeling that patriotism and that call to serve. I loved, running around in the woods in New Hampshire, playing with airsoft guns or playing in the mud. And my idea of the military was I get to go, play outside and continue that active lifestyle. But also the values of it. I saw when I was 7 years old, I went to West Point and saw the Sandhurst competition. And we were there in the afternoon. The cadets they were pushing a stalled Jeep up a hill after carrying some ammo boxes to it. And 7-year-old me thought that was the coolest thing ever. So ever since then, that was what I wanted to do. But, and as I grew older, the more I looked into it, the leadership ability, being able to do ROTC, come out of college and go right into a leadership position. I graduated, went to the basic officer course, and 6 weeks later I was downrange in Iraq, leading 17 people.
So you went to Bucknell first out of high school and then joined?
Right. Yeah.
But you knew that would be your path. You knew that's sort of what you wanted to do after school.
Yeah. I was originally looking at West Point. I got into West Point. I got into ROTC and chose the path that offered a little bit more freedom of ROTC.
That's pretty cool.
I had an amazing time. Very, very happy I did it.
Yeah, one of my best friends went to Bucknell. He loved it there. I'm sure not many people turned down West Point. They must have been shocked.
Definitely got a lot of grief from the family, but at least for me personally, I love life and enjoying and being active and doing things. And one of the bigger pieces that turned me off, frankly, was not being able to leave on the weekends. You got as a freshman, it was 1 weekend pass a semester, sophomores 2, juniors 3. I want to be able to go hiking and kayaking and all that stuff and go have fun. So but it worked out because you still graduate in the same place, and got to the 82nd Airborne, working side by side with people from ROTC, OCS, West Point, and any of the other academies, all there to do the same mission.
What was that experience like for you serving? Like what did you love about it? What did you not like so much? What are some of the lessons that you learned or that sort of helped you become the man that you are today?
Probably the biggest takeaway is nothing that I will ever do is harder than what I've done.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a nice place to be in, any situation, whether it's physical, emotional, business. After going through both training and real world scenarios, you experience really challenging times. You learn how to overcome and adapt to those. So as you go forward, anything that comes up, it's like, well, it's not that bad. I've dealt with worse, I've seen worse. So, we'll figure this out. There's always a solution. There's always a way to get through it.
I love that attitude, because life is like filled with like these potholes in business and your relationships, and the fact that you say, you know what, hey, I've been through a lot harder than whatever it's going to be thrown at me next. I think that's a great attitude to have. I love that. What was your transition like when you left? Did you know what you wanted to do? Was it a tough time? Was it easy?
I had an easier time for sure. I was always passionate about entrepreneurship. My plan from the beginning was, I want to go serve, and then get out and be an entrepreneur. I didn't know what that looked like, but I knew I wanted to start a business. Back in high school, I guess first off, when I was, a small child, I was always asking my parents, what can I do around the house to earn money? And my favorite one was my dad was like, okay, well, we had a big yard, and he'd always hit rocks with a lawnmower. So he's like, go pick up rocks. I'll give you a penny a rock.
Jesus Christ.
I was astounded when he didn't want to count my $13 worth of rocks.
Hey, wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So, but always entrepreneurially mindset.
Yeah.
I started working at a horse farm when I was 14 for $6.50 an hour. Mucking horse stalls and doing landscaping and weed whacking. When I was 16, I got an old pickup truck. I started a landscaping company. First off, just mulching gardens for the neighbors, but then got more and more customers, started hiring my friends. I was like, hey, the grocery store cashiers pay $8 an hour. I'll give you $10 an hour and come just listen to music, and we'll listen to country music, and we'll cut down trees and spread mulch, and it'll be great. So I grew up to 10 employees. We were going all over the southern part of New Hampshire.
Wow.
Doing gardening, landscaping, tree removal.
As a high school student, you were doing this.
Yeah. And then I spun that into just seeing opportunity and adapting. When you do tree removal, the dump would take anything over 6 inches in diameter, they would charge you for. Well, we lived on 6 acres of land because rural New Hampshire. So I saw another opportunity, like, well, instead of giving it to the dump, let me just go dump it in my woods, which my parents were thrilled about.
Oh no, you didn't you became a dump.
Yeah. So well, we turned it into gold because logs over 6 inches is firewood.
Yeah.
We were taking logs and go pile them up at the house, but then I bought a log splitter and
sold it.
In the free time, firewood. That turned into a whole firewood business on top of that. Bought a truck and trailer, and started getting more equipment. So always had that mindset. So that translated once I got into the military, I guess partway through. Just I looked into some stock trading and some option trading, and always looking for different opportunities and ways to invest. So actually a buddy of mine from college brought up the idea of real estate investing to me. We'd always talked about different business ideas, and he pitched me on real estate. And my first thought was, it was the stock trading mindset, like, prices are high right now. This is back in 2016, 2017. Like, prices are too high right now. Why don't we just wait till it drops? And we all know what the real estate market's done in the last 8 years. So thank God I didn't listen to that advice. But started looking into it more, read every book I could find, every podcast I could listen to, and bought my first single family $45,000 house in Oklahoma City, tenant in place, property management in place, full turnkey. And that was my start of real estate investing. So that was while I was in the military. I started to see the power of it and kept growing from there. So while I was still active duty, I was buying a couple different small investment properties, did minor rehab, a major rehab. And then stationed in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, I decided to do a flip. So I bought a house off of Facebook Marketplace. It had been vacant for 3 years. A whole bunch of cats living in it. That they tore out all the carpets. It was in terrible shape. And I had the idea of, let's go live in it while we flip it. So when we moved in, we had gutted the kitchen and bathroom. We are driving down the street to the gas station to go to the bathroom. I bought a microwave that we just plugged into the living room outlet, and that was how we were cooking and showering at base at the in the company area. But over those next few months, fixed up the house and went through a full renovation. I did it as a learning experience to learn how to manage a construction site. So and started doing some more properties like that. So by the time I was ready to get out of the military, I had already had a decent amount of experience, both physically doing properties, and then I did some online education. I did a graduate certificate from Cornell in commercial real estate development, and I did the Soldier for Life transition program out of the Army. So the last few months, you can go work in industry. I like to travel, so I was like, well, Hawaii sounds like a cool place to go. I've never been there, and I wanted to get as far away from Fort Bragg as I could. So I started cold calling developers, just Google real estate developer in Hawaii, and called down the list. And one of the luckiest things that ever happened to me, but Christine Camp with Avalon Development in Honolulu decided to hire me. And so I came out for 4 months, worked for her. And that was doing large high-rise, large industrial subdivision. She's a really prominent member of the community out here. But got to touch some massive projects, received a lot of mentorship from her. And she offered me a full-time position after just 2 weeks of coming out there. And I fell in love with Hawaii. It's, beautiful, amazing people, amazing culture, and all the active, lifestyle components that I want to have. So decided to stay, worked for Avalon for a while. Right off the bat, I told her I want to start my own company. I want to do my own thing. She's like, that's fine. Just work for me for a while and learn. So that's exactly what I did. So worked for Avalon, got great exposure to some really large projects, and continued doing my own projects in my free time. And then it came to a point where I had more projects than I had time for. So I gave them a couple weeks notice, but my last day of work at Avalon was Friday, and then Monday morning I was full-time working in my company, and it never skipped a beat. I had zero time off, hit the ground running, had still plenty of work, and haven't looked back since.
That is what a great story, man. You are quite the entrepreneur. I love it. I love it. So talk a little bit about Clear Summit Investments. Is it just you? Do you have other people helping you, or?
We've got a pretty big team. So we have some project managers. We have a good network of property managers. We have some in-house maintenance guys, and then a large and growing network of investor partners. Real estate is a very capital intensive game. So initially started with friends and family investors, and then started reaching out and growing our network and bringing in more and more people.
But you got to get good at both sides. That's a whole other industry, like getting the investors, right, versus building the projects.
Yeah, I mean, as you wouldn't necessarily think it from the outside, but real estate, I think, is maybe 60-70% finance.
Wow.
It largely comes down to how you structure deals, how you finance deals, what are the financials of the deal. Because oftentimes something like construction management, property management, architecture, all of that stuff gets outsourced to consultants or other companies. Sometimes it makes sense to bring it in-house, but we've stayed pretty lean in that regard, and really focused on deal structuring and financing.
That's all. And how many properties do you guys now have, like, in your inventory, or have you done, or give us a sense of the size of Clear Summit?
Yeah, so we've gone through 40 properties. We currently have a stabilized portfolio of 25 million and active projects of 40 million. And our current pipeline, we're raising right now under a new growth fund. But once that fund fills up, we'll have about 200 million of development projects.
Gosh, good for you. That is so awesome. I love that. You are the reason I came, we connected is, I don't know how I stumbled on it, but your social media, you do social better than most people. out there. And that's what I absolutely love the way you do it. You do talk a little bit about, because you do these like sort of, you peel the curtain back a little. You let people see what goes on in real estate development, right? It's not just the sizzle up front. You're showing them the properties and giving ideas and suggestions. Talk a little bit about like, how is that all self-taught? You figured that out on your own?
Yeah, so the way I thought about it is I love real estate. I love talking about real estate, the concept, the strategy, and it can be a very collaborative environment. But a lot of people have an interest in real estate in a lot of different facets, and like to learn about it. So, to be completely transparent, my goal is to build a community to help us build our investor base, make new partners, grow our business. But nowadays everybody's so numb to advertising because we have so much thrown at us in every piece of technology and screen that we go on. So rather than going out there and say, hey, give me money, I'll give you like good returns, it's not going to work. So my approach is just pure value-based content marketing. So I think the projects we do are really cool. I think some of the strategies we do are very unique and interesting. And my goal is just simply to shine light on that. Let me share what I'm doing. If people are interested, they can engage and learn more. If they're really interested, they maybe come and invest and become a partner with us.
No, I love it. And so it's so casual too. It's like you don't have a production crew, it's just you holding the camera. Hey guys, here I'm up on this hill. Look at the ocean behind, It got me so excited. I'm like, oh my God, I want to live out in Hawaii. I want to invest in some properties.
Let's go.
That is so great, man. I am just extremely impressed by you and what you've done. And obviously this, started at a very early age. Kudos to your parents for getting you down this track. And it all started with a penny a rock. That should have been the name of your business, man. It's so cool what you're doing. And this is going to be a $200 million investment portfolio very soon for you. So I truly appreciate you coming on and sharing this story. I know anybody out there in the military community listening who is intrigued by the work that Zander's doing at Clear Summit, please connect to him on LinkedIn. We'll tag him on this video. And would you be willing, if anyone wants to chat with you about their career and advice and guidance, would that be all right if people reach out to you as well and connect on LinkedIn?
Absolutely. Always happy to talk with both fellow veterans and, especially people diving into the wonderful world of real estate.
That's awesome. Zander, thank you so much, man. We wish you all the best. And thanks for doing this. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Aloha.